Hey friends, it's Sarah, and today I'm doing the mid-year book freakout tag. If you watch BookTube at all, you've probably seen other people do this. It is like the quintessential middle of the year tag that everyone does. It's just an easy way to talk about how your reading year has gone so far. And mine's a little bit late because I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not, but then I love tag videos, so I decided that I would do it. Before I get into the questions, I just wanted to do like a little overview of my reading year. So far this year I read 103 books and my Goodreads goal is 200 books. So I am right on track and made like a book or two ahead of my reading goal, which is great. I feel like my year has been pretty like mediocre. I've read a lot of kind of like 3.5, 4-star reads. A lot of them have been ones where I'm like, oh, this is like well written or like an important subject to discuss, but like my personal enjoyment would maybe be like a little bit lower, more like a 3-star read. So I've had a lot of those, and I haven't really felt like I've had a big like standout like book of the year that I can't stop thinking about. It's like last year by this point I had read like One Last Stop and Know My Name, and I was just like, oh my god, these are the best books ever. And this year I just don't feel like that. Like I've read some good ones, but still out there looking for my favorite book of the year. Anyways, we'll just get into the questions. So the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2022. And like I said before, there wasn't one where I'm, oh man, this is going to be like one of my all-time favorite books, but there were a few like 5-star reads that I've had so far. So the first book I have to talk about is See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon, and this is her latest YA novel. This is just like super cute, had a fun like time travel loop in it, and reminded me a lot of Palm Springs. So this was excellent, great banter, great characters, it's very fun. Another 5-star read that I had was In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, and I talked about that in my Queer Reads video that came out 2 weeks ago. But that was just a really interesting memoir, and I really liked how she used different tropes to talk about the downfall of her relationship as it kind of slid into intimate partner violence and like abuse. So it was very sad, but very well written. And the final best book of 2022 for me was one that I just read recently, and that is The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki. This actually just won the Women's Prize for Fiction for this year. It follows a family where the father has died and the son and mother are kind of coping with their grief in different ways. So the mom develops like a hoarding habit, and then the son is starting to hear voices from the objects around him. It's a story about like loss and healing and grief and like mental illness, and it was just really well written. Had a really interesting narrative structure, and I just felt so deeply for these characters. The second question is the best sequel you've read so far in 2022. And for that, I have 2 books. So I have Love Boat Reunion by Abigail Hing Wen. This is the sequel or the companion to Love Boat Taipei. The romances are so lush and like emotional, and she has such a knack for writing setting, and she has a great way of describing food as well. I'm always hungry after reading her books, even though they're not like food-centered books. And then the other favorite sequel was Isn't It Bromantic by Lyssa Kay Adams, which is the 4th book in the Bromance Book Club series, and it just, I think, was the best one of the series and was so sweet, so wholesome, and she finally hit that perfect balance of like the book that the Bromance Club is reading and then like the plot that they're experiencing. So great job. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. And I have a couple. Again, I think you're only supposed to do like 1 book for these, but I can't make decisions, so we're just having a few books for everything. So the first one is The Storyteller by Katherine Williams. This is a YA historical fiction that follows a girl who discovers that she might be like the descendant of Anastasia Romanoff. So I have been a little bit obsessed with like Anastasia Romanoff for a while, similar to like my Titanic and like Mountain Disaster book obsession. I really like books about Anastasia, mostly fiction books. So I'm really intrigued to read this. It came out in January and I just like haven't gotten around to reading it yet. So the other book that I have out from the library is The Chandler Legacies by Abdi Nazemian. But this follows a group of students at like a boarding school. I don't remember what else happens in it, but I love a boarding school book, so I want to read this one as well. Question number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And I have a whole video where I talk about books that I am excited for. I'll link that like up top and down below, but the ones at the top of my list are Sea Sparrow by Kristen Cashore, which is the next installment in the Graceling series, and then also A Million to One by Adiba Jagudar, which is a sapphic Titanic heist novel. So excited for that one. Question number 5 is the biggest disappointment of the year. And for that one, I have 2 books. So I have Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. This is an adult contemporary novel about like university students doing a heist, but really it's more about the experience of being Chinese in America or Chinese American in America. Both are discussed. And I just expected this to be a lot more action-packed than it was. The focus was much more like on the themes of living in a diaspora, which was really cool, but when you go into a book expecting like high stakes Ocean's 11, and then you get a lot more like musings around being an immigrant, it's like a real whiplash. So I think I ended up giving this one like 3 stars because it was still decent. I thought the theme exploration was good, but it was not what I expected from this book. So it was disappointing. And I also talk about my feelings more in depth in my like Illumicrate unboxing because that's where I got my copy from. So if you want like a deeper review, check that out. And then the other one was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And this is a translated Japanese book that is a series of like kind of interconnected short stories about a cafe where you can like time travel. And I thought the concept was really interesting, but I don't know if it's like the translation or just that's how the book is, but I felt like the concept was re-explained with every story. So there were like 5 short stories and they'd spend like the first 3 pages re-explaining how the time travel works. And you're like, I just read a story that was, 50 pages long. I know how this works. And then they would like re-explain it all. And I felt like I was being talked down to, and it really took away from like the emotional beats of the story. So that was really disappointing too, because I really liked the concept. I just think they spent way too much time re-explaining the mechanics of the time travel instead of expecting the reader to be able to remember from like 50 pages ago how it worked. On the other side is the biggest surprise of the year, and for that I have The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. So this was a like super hyped up book on TikTok, which is why I was kind of hesitant to read it. I don't trust TikTok because half the time I read the books and they're god awful, like The Love Hypothesis. I did not like that book at all. But this one was actually pretty good. I could see some people not liking it as much. There's a lot of vagueness to like the magic system in here, but I thought that the characters were very interesting and I could never quite understand their like motivations or like what they were going to do next. I thought they were really well done and like unpredictable, and the plot was like maybe a little slow paced, but I think it lent itself well to this like dark academia style where it was like a lot of kind of, they're all sitting there like researching magic, because it was a very like academic style of magic as well. So I really enjoyed this. I think I gave it 4 stars, and yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by it. So question number 7 is your favorite new author, either a debut author or an author new to me. And like, I don't know, I can't think of anyone new who I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna like read every single thing that they write. I did read Transcendent Kingdom by Yag Yazi, and I do now own Homecoming and want to read that. So like potential new favorite author, along with I think maybe like Rachel Lynn Sullivan cemented herself as one of my favorite authors with See You Yesterday, or even like Shirin J. Zhao, because I read their second book, which was a middle grade novel called Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor, and I really enjoyed that as well. So I feel like they have also cemented themselves as like a favorite author and someone who I will just like auto buy. So not really any like new authors, just ones where I like read 1 or 2 of their books previously and I'm now like, okay, yeah, definitely like top tier. Question 8 is your newest fictional crush. I don't really get fictional crushes. I don't know. I find the concept kind of strange. But I guess if I have to choose, maybe like Prince from Love Radio by Ebony Liddell. Not that I have like a crush on him, but I just think he's like very sweet and a nice, he's just a nice wholesome boy. He's just a real sweetheart and he treats Danny really well. And so I think he would be a good boyfriend. But I don't have a crush on him. Is that what a book crush is? I really don't understand it, but we're going to say Prince from Love Radio. Question number 9 is your new favorite character. And again, I haven't really had a ton of characters like really stand out to me, but I did really like all of the characters from I Kissed Shara Wheeler, except maybe Shara. Shara was medium. But I did really like Chloe and Smith and Rory from here. I thought they were a great little trio, and they were just so fun to hang out with, and they had great banter. So I think they would be my new favorite like group of characters. I also read Great or Nothing by Joy McCullough, Caroline Tung Richmond, Tess Sharp, and Jessica Spotswood, and that was a retelling of Little Women set in World War II. And so not like a new favorite character, but I thought the like reimagining of Jo in that was really excellent. All the characters were great, but I've always had a soft spot for Jo from Little Women, so I thought the reimagining really did her justice and was just really beautiful. So I guess she's not a new favorite character, but a new interpretation of a favorite character. So I'm going to include her here as well. Question number 10 is a book that made you happy, and I'm going with Love Radio by Ebony Liddell again. This was just like a really sweet romance that was kind of like music focused, and just their chemistry was so great, and they were so lovely and sweet to each other. I would highly recommend this for a like super fluffy summertime romance. Question 11 is a book that made you cry. For this question, I have Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, which follows Shakespeare's family, but not Shakespeare. And I was kind of not expecting to like it because it's like literary fiction and I'm not that kind of person, but it was really well written and it was just devastating. I'm pretty sure I like cried during this book. Question 12 is the most beautiful book that you've bought or received this year. And there's so many pretty books. I don't know how to answer this. So there's a couple. I have The Summer of Bitter and Sweet by Jen Ferguson, which I really just love the details of this book. So it follows a Métis girl who works at her like uncle's ice cream stand in the summer, but her biological father has recently been released from jail and is trying to like get in contact with her, and she wants nothing to do with him. So there's also that kind of scary subplot and the like trying to save the ice cream stand. But the wording in here is all like indigenous like beading. She's got like the earring with the little ice cream on it that's also beaded. There's beautiful like flowers on the back, and then at the beginning of the chapters they have these like cute little beaded things as well. And on the spine, it's just great. It's just, I love all of the beading and like the homage to the like Métis culture in this. And then also Zachary Ying and the Dragon Emperor by Sharon J. Zhao. Just another excellent cover. This author has insane covers. They're so amazing and I can just stare at them all day. And then I also have a couple of Little Women editions that I got this year. So there's this one, which is from 1947, and it's an illustrated edition, but just like, look at that scene on the front cover. It's so pretty. It's got like blue edges, they're kind of faded, and then it has all this lovely artwork on the inside. And then I also, but this I think may be my favorite edition of Little Women. So not only is the cover beautiful, on the inside they have all these little like any of the letters that were written in there. They have like made them. They hired all these calligraphy experts, which I didn't know was a thing, and they wrote out all these beautiful letters and like researched what they would be like written on and like what kind of ink they would be written with, and they had different people write the different letters depending on who was doing it, and they have like the newspaper that the girls make, which is so cool. Pickwick paper. Just like so fun. So cool. But yeah, I think this is the most beautiful book I bought this year because it's just so cool. It really brings the story to life. I think they also did an edition of Pride and Prejudice in the same way, but yeah, this is just like so much work went into this, and I'm so happy that I have it. So the last question, number 13, is what books do you need to read by the end of the year? As always, there's so many books I want to read by the end of the year. Ones that I want to like get to right away are Homecoming by Yagyazi. Like I said, I read Transcendent Kingdom by this author and I really liked it, and people said that Homecoming is like even better than that. So I want to read this, and I found it at a book sale and it was like $2. So score. I also want to read This Wicked Fate by Kaylin Barron, which is the sequel to This Poison Heart, I think it's called. Yeah, This Poison Heart. And that just came out a couple weeks ago, I think. Last week? At the end of June. So I want to read that sequel. And then I also have Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner? Zauner? I don't know how to say her name. I've just seen everyone read this book, and they all say it's an incredible memoir, so I need to get on it. I need to catch up with everyone else. Those are all of the questions from like the official list, but I was watching Booksandlala's video where she did this tag, and she added a couple more that I also wanted to answer because I thought they were good questions. So her first question was, what was the best reread for you this year? And I just recently reread the Lunar Chronicles series and loved it. I was so happy with them. I was concerned that because I'd read this like a decade ago, they wouldn't stand up, but no, they're excellent. I think I gave them all like 4 or 4.5 stars, but they should be 5 stars. I would change nothing about this series. It's so good. The second question from Booksandlala is, what is the worst book that you read this year? And that honor has to go to Sorry Not Sorry by Sonia Singh. This is like an adult romance book, and it was just too much. They were just doing too much. It made no sense. The characters acted super wacky. They were doing things that were just like insane. The whole like plot of it is really hard to believe, where he's like, I can't bring my like white girlfriend to my Indian wedding, so will you like mogul who's made this breakup email writing company accompany me to the Indian wedding so that my parents will think I'm dating a nice Indian girl. And she just like drops her business and is like, sure, I'll do this for you, random stranger. That was just not good. The writing in this was also not good. I feel bad saying it. I want to like it so much because it sounded fun, but it was not well written. It needed like 2 more editors on it. Yeah, it was really bad. The other book that I would say was the worst book so far was The Duff by Cody Keplinger. And it was just, again, like, so bad. I felt no connection to any of the characters. They were doing dumb stuff. It was just not it. It was like really bad, like Gossip Girl vibes. I don't know. One of those like really typical like teen things where everyone's kind of like a caricature or a stereotype. And I just didn't like it. It was bad. Don't read it. Just watch the movie instead. It's so much cuter. And then the last question that Booksandlala added in was like, what's a new genre that you've tried out this year? And for me, it's got to be adult romance, because I used to read like a lot of teen romance, like Sarah Dessen and stuff, and I still love those, but I've kind of branched out more into adult romance, and I'm enjoying it so far. Like I read the Bromance Book Club series, which was really fun. I read On Honeymooners by Christina Lauren, and that was like really good. I read The Kiss Quotient, which was kind of medium for me, but like still pretty decent. I've had some pretty big like swings and misses in this category as well, but I'm having fun finding ones that I enjoy, because if I enjoy it, like I really like it, it's been lots of fun too. So that has been a little summary of my reading year. Let me know how your reading year is going. Are you on track for your reading goal if you have any? Are you having a good reading year, or is it kind of more like medium like mine? I would love to know what y'all are reading. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Hey BookTube, it's Sarah. I don't say that anymore. And this is, I can't even remember either. I did not like that video. Like a fuck ton of authors. Can't remember them all. Joy McCullough et al.